balls. As we say, when it comes to storms like this, it's not the wind necessarily that's dangerous, it's what's in the wind. So if it's picking up tree limbs or branches or fence posts and flipping them and flying them around, that can go right through drywall, it can go right through the side of a home. If you're standing by that exterior wall, it could hurt you. You want to be on the inside. Really put as many barriers between you and the outside as possible. That's going to give you all the best chance to be safe in a storm like this. We mentioned to put on shoes. That sounds silly, but it is good practice. If you were to have damage, then you have some protection to your feet. Even if you have a bicycle helmet or a motorcycle helmet, you can use that too to protect your head. This storm is moving out to the north at 35 miles per hour. Not forgetting about the other one. We have 2 tornado warnings still going on in Wilkes County. This one to the north by Trap Hill has weakened. The warning is still in effect, still be in your safe spot, but I'm not seeing as strong of rotation as we did before. Again, it's weakening. Not an all clear just yet. We're going to toss it over to Eric Chilton. You're seeing something on radar you want to let the folks know about.
Yeah, just briefly, I want to look at this. We don't use this a lot, and thankfully, because usually you don't have the case for it, but in this case you do. This is our debris detection. So basically what it does is it takes the same type of technology with Doppler radar, how we can tell which way the winds are moving and which way the rain is facing and that type of thing. It can also pick up anything larger that could possibly be debris. And when you see these yellows and greens here, and this is the exact system that Tim was just talking about, moving into the Delaplane area, north of 421 and south of 268, generally headed toward Rhonda. This looks like, and Tim, I want your opinion on this, I'll toss it back to you, but I mean, that's strong enough that this could verify as maybe a tornado has touched the ground there. We do not have visual confirmation of that, but from a data standpoint, Tim, that's worth looking at.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Eric. You know, in the old days, we didn't have this luxury, but this is technology that can confirm things. And it's possible right there near Delaplane, that yellowness, y'all don't need to know what this means, but when we see that yellow or a greenish or a bluish color, that can indicate some debris in the air. I think that is concerning, to say the least. Right near Delaplane, it's possible that that storm may have had a touchdown. We just don't know that for certain, but it is enough to give us some pause and some concern that that might have happened in that area. In fact, if we look, I'm going to switch my source here, Eric, just so you know what I'm doing. I'm switching to the Greenville, South Carolina radar, and then this is the Roanoke radar. Both of them showing some signature here that, in fact, it might have touched down a little bit south of the highway. Initially, this was right along Highway 115, literally just south. The speedway is right there. That's North Wilkesboro Speedway. This possible tornado could have touched down right near 115, then moves right over 421, possibly with some debris in the air. We don't know that for sure. And then crossing over toward Delaplane and now up by Roaring River on Highway 268. Let's get back to the radar. We can do the rest of that when we can. But as of right now, we're still real concerned about that storm. In fact, this is concerning too. When we see that big orange right there, sorry, not orange, that purple right by Delaplane, that could possibly be some debris detected on radar as well, which is, again, not a good sign. You can sometimes get what we would call a debris ball. We talk about all those things getting lofted up into the air. The radar can detect that. In addition to rain, it can also sometimes see objects if they've been lifted in such a way. So what I want to do now is something that we call a 3D slice. So we're going to use our technology and take a slice of the storm and kind of pan back and forth to make some sense out of what we're seeing on radar right there. Bear with me as we do this, but this is pretty important. We're seeing what looks to be a hail spike, but we're pretty confident there's no hail in the storms today. So it's possible that could be a debris ball with the storm in Wilkes County. So can't confirm that it touched down, but do have some pits in my stomach right now that it might have done so. That's right by the North Wilkesboro Speedway, just east of it, right down the road. As far as we could tell on radar, that's what it looks like right now. Hopefully our newsroom can make some calls into Wilkes County and see what's going on over there if we're possible, right along 421. 2 warnings in Wilkes, 1 warning down in Iredell, still quiet in the Triad. Winston-Salem, Greensboro, Lexington, Asheboro, still fine as of now, but you are not in the clear because all these storms are pushing a little bit closer to us. We're seeing that signal of possible debris with one of the tornado warnings in Wilkesboro, the one that's closest to the North Wilkesboro Speedway. So that's what we're tracking for you right now. Let me go back to the system, and then Eric, if you want to actually check up with our National Weather Service partners in the chat. They might have some opinions on that as well, but certainly we don't like what we're seeing. If you're just joining us, this warning is about to expire up here by Trap Hill. It expires at 7:15. This one continues for Surrey, Wilkes, and Yadkin. The reason all those 3 counties are in there, you have this chunk of Yadkin, that chunk of Wilkes, or that chunk of Surrey, excuse me. The rotation here, let's get the latest live look so we can still inform you on where it's going. We're seeing that spinning motion right here, just to the north of Highway 421. If we go in a little bit closer, it's right near Rhonda. So a lot of places in Rhonda over here. We have the wine country, of course. You might be familiar with that over in the Yadkin Valley. We have that spinning motion right here along Highway 268. The storm is still pushing off to the north, to the east at about 35 miles per hour, right near Roaring River, right near Rhonda. So ahead of that, you'd be looking at really crossing 21. So it's going to go just north of the city of Elkin. I'll pause it here so you can see what I mean. It's going to push right up in this direction. So Elkin's right here. The exit off 77 is right there. This is Route 21, Highway 21 that you would take to get from 77 up to the Blue Ridge Parkway. Stone Mountain State Park is right over here. It's going to cross right through this area if it holds together. If it holds together, that's what we're watching. And boy, oh boy, it does look intense still. Eric, we're still seeing that purple shade here, which I'm concerned might have a really impact with the correlation coefficient, the debris signature that we saw. That could be part of that debris in the air as well. So really hoping it's not, but it's looking concerning as it moves just to the north there in parts of Wilkes County. And sure enough, right now, this is being confirmed for us. So we can tell this to our news team now. The Weather Service is updating this as an observed tornado. What does that mean? A lot of times a tornado warning will be radar indicated, meaning we think there could be a tornado there. When it's observed, that means someone has either spotted it with their eyes or we've seen the debris on radar. I'm afraid in this case, it's probably that it is that debris on radar we were talking about. It certainly looks to be an observed tornado right now, and we're going to report it as such. So now, this is a confirmed tornado in Wilkes County. As it moves off to the north, you got to be taking it real seriously in Rhonda and up to the north. On the eastern side of the county, this thing passed right by North Wilkesboro Speedway. We're going to be checking up with them to see how they fared in this storm for today, and now it's pushing right off to the north. It's going to pass north of Elkin, but not by much. If you were in Elkin, I would be in a safe spot for sure. Eric, good call watching that debris earlier. It looks like this is now an observed tornado, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is, and I am checking in right now to see what's going on with our National Weather Service situation. We have a chat that goes on with all the meteorologists and the National Weather Service together. And basically it's just saying the same things that we're telling you now, is that a lot of this has been confirmed. And again, looking at that debris field that we saw earlier, it's not surprising. The only good news that I can tell you right with this particular cell, which by the way, let me zoom out real quick because I believe we're down to, yeah. So in our viewing area, there's only one active tornado warning, and it's the storm that we've been talking about that was moving toward the Rhonda area. So this is the only good news I can see right now, is that it doesn't look like the levels on the radar were quite as bad as they were. That does not mean that you can say, oh, we're in good shape. We are not. We're still watching this, and we still have 15 minutes left on this tornado warning. It is moving to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. So if you're in that Rhonda area or anywhere between Lomax and Rhonda, even over toward Hayes to the west, that's kind of the area. And then as this moves north and east, even though they say they'll have this tornado warning until 7:30, if that storm holds together, obviously they'll extend that, and then they'll also change where the polygon is. So this red area that kind of outlines the area of concern, that may be extended back to the north. If you want to go out, let me do some times here real quick. We can still tell where the center of circulation is or was, if you want to say it that way. So if it's moving northeast at that speed, it should be in the Benham area by 7:27, so it's 10 minutes from now roughly, and then 7:32 in the Pleasant Ridge area there. They're moving fast. I mean, most of these that I've seen, they're doing 2 3/4 inches of rain an hour. Now, it doesn't stay over any one spot that long, but that tells you just the amount of rain that's coming out of this. And as Tim and I have been watching all afternoon, literally with this, we knew this was probably going to happen, but to have them lined up like this is a little disconcerting. Let me go back out to the wide shot. The entire thunderstorm warning for the region, which covers Yeah, this is, I mean, this thunderstorm warning is the yellow polygon outside of the red one. And that one covers Surrey, Wilkes, parts of Ashe, and Yadkin counties. It also extends north near Sparta on Highway 21, if you're familiar with that region. And that doesn't expire until 7:30. Do not let your guard down now, even though it looks like it's, see, look at that. That's exactly what we were just talking about. Did you notice that just popped up? So now that's extended from Surrey, Wilkes, and Yadkin until 7:45, because this system right here looks strong enough that it's holding its own and keeping things together here. So let's go back in real quick and take a look at this. Again, the whole thing moving north and east. Yeah, you see that little area of purple, which some of the higher levels of intensity that our radar will pick up. It's forming, and then one sweep goes by, it's not there, the next sweep it is. That means that there's rotation, and that storm is kind of shifting and changing on the fly, minute by minute. Every time our radar beam goes by, we get a new round of data and more information in there. Let me go back in one time, and Tim, I'm going to see if I can get back to that debris field again to see if it still looks as bad over that section as it did earlier. And we'll bring that in real quick. Yeah, I mean, that's anytime we see that light green, and you saw, I know it looks pixelated to you, but that's the way the data is processed. But when you see these areas of light green, that's to be taken more serious, especially in a concentrated area like this, than when we see the reds and the burgundy. So Tim, I don't know your thoughts on that. Even this along the line of Elkin and I-77, all that moving to the north probably bears watching.
Oh yeah, for sure, Eric. You know, there's still so many different parts of the storm to watch, which makes this difficult for us to kind of keep straight. So it's really nice to have two meteorologists here tracking the system for you at home, getting some new information that I want to, you know, kind of distill for folks and just kind of reset here. Number one, we still have a tornado warning. We have a confirmed tornado, an observed tornado that crashed right around 421, not that far from the North Wilkesboro Speedway. Now we're hearing about 1,500 folks are without power, so that just confirms that we know there was a lot of damage that happened as part of this storm system. Now, that possible tornado, or maybe confirmed tornado, that's right there just to the west of Elkin. It's going to pass just to the north of the city. If you're in Elkin, you have to be in your safe spot. This warning has been extended now. It now includes Surrey County and Dobson. If it holds together, it could impact parts of the Mount Airy area, Highway I-77, right in that general vicinity as well. Elsewhere, if you don't live in these areas, number one, thank you for bearing with us here as we serve your friends and neighbors. We do the same thing for you. Elsewhere, though, we do have more storms that will impact other parts of our region coming up shortly. There's a tornado warning for Iredell County. We also have some more storms down by Charlotte. All of those are headed our way. Those ones are going to ride up right on 85. This is going to push up toward Yadkin County. So we could be with you a while here this evening as we track all of the bad storms. I know it's not fun when the programs get interrupted, but this is truly important stuff, especially when we know that there's been some damage. Now, we're getting some reports as well. Several downed trees in the Moravian Falls area. That's coming from our partners at the National Weather Service. That also speaks to the fact that this storm is not just spinning around, but it is doing damage as it continues to push through Wilkes County. A little light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. If you are in North Wilkesboro, let me zoom back in so we get a better view for you. If we look at North Wilkesboro, the storm has pushed just to your east. North Wilkesboro, you are clear from that storm. It's just pushed off to the west, or sorry, to the east of you. So you're okay there as of now. And that's what we're going to do as we continue to track these for you. We'll tell you who's in a threat and who's out of the threat. And right now, North Wilkesboro is out of the threat as this storm is pushing through Wilkes County. It'll be in Surrey County next. And it's really Elkin that we're worried about at the moment right now. If we zoom back in, let's name a lot of streets here. Elkin, the city of Elkin, is right there on the intersection, of course, of Wilkes County, Surrey, and Yadkin. There's North Elkin. This is Pleasant Ridge. That's Benham. Benham, you are under the gun right now. You got to be in a safe spot here in Benham to get through this storm. There's spinning still happening. So we're still seeing all of this rotation, right, in the part of the storm in Wilkes County. It's lifting just to the north. It's moving north and east. The spinning is happening right there in Benham. This is not necessarily a to the second image, so it could already be this far down the road, which means Pleasant Ridge, you also have to get to your safe spot. Put on some shoes, get a helmet if you have it, get to a safe spot in your home. We already know this has been doing damage on the way. If you're in the downtown area of Elkin, it's likely that the storm is going to pass to your north, but still be in a safe spot. Only for about 15 minutes. After that, it'll be by you, but be in a safe spot even so. You're in the polygon, as we call it. That's the safe spot that you want to be watching out for. Now, if you're in Dobson, it's likely that this is going to pass on the western side of town, but be on guard. You are in the tornado warning. These are drawn big for a reason. It's not because we don't know where they're going. It's just because sometimes they can change direction, or we know we're not perfect. When the Weather Service draws these, they do it for a reason. Just because it looks like it's headed this way doesn't mean in Dobson you shouldn't also be in your safe spot. You only have about 10 to 15 minutes. Let's put some ETAs on the screen here for you, as that rotation is still pretty strong just to the north and east of Elkin. We're seeing this getting closer to Dobson by about 7:42. That would be about 15-20 minutes from now. Bottom beyond that, Little Richmond, Downton, Devotion as well, very, very shortly. So it's coming your way into Surry County without much delay. Now, I'm going to switch back to the radar view, and we're going to have a little bit of a wider view so we can show you what's going on. I'm going to click off the labels so I can make sense of all of this at once. So the wide view of this shows kind of the picture of the storm. This is one line that's moving all at once. It's pushing through Wilkes County now. You're almost through it. Hang on tight for about 10 more minutes. Surry's up next, then Yadkin, then Davie County. You would want to watch these storms out to your west. Then it'll be time for Stokes, Forsyth, possibly Davidson, then possibly Guilford, Rockingham, and you get the idea as we go down the line. This line does not extend forever all the way to the south. It gets a little bit more broken down here near Charlotte, but soon enough, we're going to have to watch these cells as well. Get closer to Montgomery, get closer to Randolph, get closer to Davidson. We have a lot to track for you right now, which is why I want to make sure we're looking all up and down the line and not missing anything as we get a little bit closer. It's going to probably get even more busy before it starts to quiet down. Well, let's put the velocity on one more time as we have this warning continuing in Iredell County, just technically outside the News 2 viewing area, but it's coming our way, so we want to be on the lookout. Troutman, the sun has been out there throughout the day. Someone was tweeting me earlier, bright, big sunshine, heating of the earth. That enhances the upward motion. Same thing we saw in Wilkes County. You have a lot of rotation near Troutman. You also have a lot of rotation here near Turnersburg. That's pushing up by Eagle Mills. This is going to move right into Statesville. Not good. We have more than one area of rotation in Iredell County. That could head to Yadkin. That could head to Davie or Yadkin as well. Be alert. More warnings are possible and maybe even likely with that one. The worst rotation we're seeing right now is just to the west of the city of Elkin. Right there, you see that dark green next to the bright blue. We can use a different color table if we want to show you what we're seeing. There it is. There's that rotation spinning around just to the north and west of Elkin. It's still on the way to Dobson. So that's what we continue to track for you as we have throughout the rest of the coverage here. Want to see if we can kind of look at our debris tracker. You don't need to know what this means. The dark red is what you would see in a regular old rainstorm. Not much variation. When you get these spikes of different colors, it can mean, unfortunately, that things that aren't rain have been lifted up into the cloud. And that's what we saw earlier right near 421 by the North Wilkesboro Speedway. And now we're trying to track it farther down the line. That was that debris initially. It looks like some of it has fizzled. We're getting a little messy here. So it's hard to tell at the moment whether or not it's still producing damage. But again, this is an observed tornado. This storm has been doing damage in Wilkes, and now it's about to leave Wilkes. It's moving just to the north of Elkin, and it is heading up into Surry County next. Surry County is up next with that tornado warning. Wilkes will be cut out of it pretty shortly. Yadkin, be on alert for those storms just to your south. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for all of this line. And it's just a lot going on, folks. It really is. Some tornado safety reminders. You want to be away from windows. You want to be in the lowest level of your home. Things like a basement, if you're lucky enough to have that, absolutely always your best option when it comes to severe weather or thunderstorms or tornadoes, of course. Now, in this case, you might not have a basement. Most of us don't in our area. I know I certainly don't. Where do you go during a tornado warning? There are good options and there are bad options. Let's kind of run down the list a little bit for you. You want to avoid the windows, the doors, and the outside walls, as we said. A hallway, a closet, bathrooms, those can all be good options that have extra boundaries between you and the outside. An interior room is really, really good. That's why we color code it in green. The middle of your house is the best place to be. The basement, of course, if you have it, is even better. But a bedroom with windows and an outside wall, not good, especially on an upper floor. Kitchen, if there's windows, not good. You want to be in the middle of your home, whether it's a closet, whether it's something else that's in the middle of your house, a laundry room. Those are all going to serve you better than being next to an outside wall where something could pierce that drywall. This is what we've been tracking for you. If you're just joining us, you're saying, where's my programming? We are watching multiple different tornado warnings in the News 2 area right now. We have still one for Wilkes County that's going up into Surry County. And then we have this storm that we have to keep an eye on, unfortunately, in Iredell that's likely to be clipping Yadkin in the future. I'm here covering it for you. We have meteorologist Eric Chilton standing by as well. Eric, you've been watching this, throughout the day there was a while where really nothing was going on, and now it seems like everything is going on all at once. It can be kind of difficult to keep track of. What are you noticing when you're seeing a storm like this that we've noticed many of throughout the last couple of years in the springtime?
Yeah, so we'll have to watch, obviously, that second line that Tim referenced us down in Iredell County, because it is heading in our general direction. I want to show you the latest times here when we look at this system. Now, this particular cell has been anywhere from 30 to 40 miles per hour moving to the northeast, which means, what are we, 27, 28 right now? So we got about 4 minutes till it's in the Mountain Park area. Those of you from Surry County know exactly where that is, near Pilot Mountain. Hollyview Forest and Highland Park at 7:58, and then moving into Mount Airy, the largest city in Surry County, at 8:04. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed that it loses a little bit of its steam before it gets there. But if you're in Dobson or any of that area from along Highway 601, just to the west of Pilot Mountain, and heading up toward actually 601 into Mount Airy, be very careful. You should not be traveling on those roads at this point until we kind of figure out what's going on. I was looking at discussions with the National Weather Service a little while ago, and someone with the Wakefield office had actually said that they received a call. You remember, and you see it up here on the screen, it says observed, meaning that it's actually observed by a human, not just indicated by Doppler radar, and we see a certain amount of spin, and that triggers a tornado warning, which happens all the time, probably the way this started. But then they actually got observed because someone called that office and said they were in the Rhonda area and they could see the tornado on the ground. So this is observed, and in that case, confirmed. I'm sure the National Weather Service will be out tomorrow to take a look at that, see what the damage was, so they can see exactly how strong this was. Also, a moment ago, in fact, this just happened, so we may be in the process of trying to get this image for you, but our Amber Lake was up just west of North Wilkesboro. Let me make sure she did say North Wilkesboro. And she sent a picture in, and we'll try to get this to you. She said on NC 18 in Boomer, just outside of Wilkesboro, Wilkesboro. And she sent some damage, storm damage from, it looks like a gas station, and the roof had collapsed. There's a car in the foreground as well. So we will try to get that. And Amber just said that is actually from a viewer that took that and sent it to her. So she got it to us. So this is a serious storm, as we've been saying all night. And even though we're not seeing that center quite as defined as before, if I'm in Surry County, anywhere from Elkin up to Dobson and then eventually Mount Airy, you're on alert. You should be in your safe place. Tim went over that, away from windows, a centrally located room, hopefully with no windows. For in my house, for example, our stairs go up. It's a load-bearing wall, and there's a storage area under those stairs, a door. Right in the middle of the house, no windows, and kind of load-bearing walls helps that too. So make sure that you do that. If you're in that Surry County area, this is not a time when we go, maybe there's a tornado, maybe there's not. This is one where we said this storm produced a tornado earlier, and now what's left of that, now whether it's still together or not, it does look a little better right now, but still I hesitate to say that. This is a strong enough storm that could spin up along that line anywhere along that line. Storm reports we're getting from all over. Let's go back down south real quick. Okay, tornado warning has expired. The only one left is this one for Surrey, Wilkes, and Yadkin until 7:45. I'll look one more time before I get back to Tim, because I wanted to look at this Sparta cell because it looked, yeah. Okay, so that's in between Cherry Lane and Sparta on Highway 21. Just to the north of 21. That's pretty strong too. Maybe with that small cell, it's not enough to trigger a tornado warning, but that's something we'll be watching. Again, the largest area of convection or thunderstorm activity that we see now is along I-77 between Elkin and Dobson and moving along. And you know, we talked earlier about the precipitation rate within some of these systems. You're going to get dumped on with rain with these systems because they're moving, even though they're moving at a pretty good rate of speed, and that's good from a rain standpoint. So flooding may not be quite as much of an issue, but could be isolated. But you're seeing a rainfall rate of more than 2 inches, almost 2 3/4 inches an hour, which basically means if it were to sit in one spot for an hour, you get that much. But if you take it down, it's usually over your area for 20 minutes or so. That's still a lot of rain. I mean, you could get 3/4 of an inch of rain in a matter of minutes, and that could cause some minor flash flooding. This watch that we're seeing here, I just wanted to kind of back out and take a broad view of everything real quick, and that is until 7:30, unless they've extended that. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, that's tornado watch, until 11 o'clock tonight. And Tim, that remains to be seen. We'll kind of keep an eye on that and see if they were to be able to pull that out earlier.
Yeah, thanks, Eric. You know, we're cleaning this up, as you just said. It's becoming a little bit less messy on radar. We still have a tornado warning, but right now it is for Surrey County. Technically, the Weather Service still has Wilkes in there. They're very busy. They have a lot going on. It's a lot of work to just kind of edit these warnings on the fly. I'm here to tell you, the spinning part is right here. It's already in Surrey County. It's no longer in Wilkes. So in Wilkes, your threat for that storm has pretty much ended. You're just going to have some more rain here and gusty winds. Now, though, we're still watching the spinning part of that tornado warning moving through Surrey County. You'll notice a change, though. When we put these boxes up there, we do it for one specific reason. That source is really important to us. If it says radar indicated, that means we're seeing the spinning on radar. If it's observed, that means that either somebody is spotted on the ground or we've observed damage with our radar tools. Earlier, it was an observed tornado, but now that we've gone farther over the last half an hour, we haven't seen that evidence that it's still on the ground. It might be, but we haven't seen it just yet in the last half an hour or so. So bottom line, treat this like there's a tornado happening. If you're in Dobson, it is passing right over here. I'll tell you, as a meteorologist, the rotation is not as strong as it was. It's probably weakening a little bit, but you still want to take it seriously. That's the analysis, though, that we're able to provide here, though. It's not as strong as it once was. Still be in a safe spot. You only have to hunker down about 15 minutes. It'll be past you at that point. Dobson right here, Interstate 77 right there, Mountain Park right here. The rotation is right here. It's going just like that. That's the way that this storm is pushing along and moving. If we're in Surrey County, we'll orient ourselves here. So Mount Airy is on this side of the county. Pilot Mountain is over here. This is how I-77 goes north and south from Charlotte up to Virginia. Elkin, the storm has pushed past you. It's just to your north, which means that rotation doesn't concern you anymore. If you made it okay, it's just to your north. Dobson, I still want you to really be in your safe spot. Another 15 minutes. Just give us about 15 minutes here, and then that thing will be passing you by. There is some lightning in this as well, in addition to some heavy rain. Let's go down the line a little bit more, and then we're going to check out some damage pictures. Heavy rain continuing in Yadkin County. I don't have a warning for you right now, but we are seeing some new rotation. This is not a warning, but this is something I would want to keep my eye on. Yadkinville's right here. This is where 77 and 421 come together and intersect. Your rotation is just like that. So it's going to be moving off to the north and to the east. No warning on it yet, but maybe this is a pre-warning, right? We're considering it a pre-warning for you. We'll keep an eye on that. Farther south, we have very broad rotation still going on in Iredell County. That'll pass into Yadkin as well. So if you're in Yadkin, you got to be on alert for another half hour. This is all headed your way. Davie County, you're up next too. Forsyth County would be farther down the line. Farther south we go, not looking at anything super bad with these southern cells. They're a little bit farther away from the storm center, which is all the way up, if you can believe it, in Ohio. That's where the low pressure is. But these are farther away, not quite as strong. We're not worried about that at the moment. We do have some damage. Getting some pictures in from some of your News 2 viewers. This seems to have been right along Highway 18. So if we look at this picture, there are a couple things we'll notice. It seems like there's a windshield wiper in the middle, but we're looking closer at a gas station. It looks to be maybe a BP station or something with those green and white colors. Looks like a CVS would be in the background there. That seems to be the logo. This is from our viewer, Kristen Hall, I believe, in the Wilkes County area. We're going to keep this on here a little bit longer. We were talking about Highway 18 in Wilkes County when we were looking at that storm initially. That was the one that eventually did cross parts of the 421 area right near the Wilkesboro Speedway. So Highway 18 in Wilkes is seeing some of this damage. It seems like that could be a big problem. Obviously the overhang has been damaged pretty significantly. It's hard to tell if the storefront has been damaged as well, but we're trying to get an exact location on this. It does seem like that was a CVS and a BP gas station just from my first glance at it. But in either case, we know damage did happen in Wilkes County earlier, but right now we're here to warn you if you're still in the path of the storm. And what I can tell you is Wilkes County, you're good. This storm is moving off to the north and to the east, and we're going to be seeing it now for Yadkin, also for Surrey, of course, where the warning continues, and still watching these storms to the south here. If you're in Winston-Salem, this is kind of nervous time. You're watching those storms off to the west and just kind of wondering how much they hold together. That's going to be the big question. Do they stay strong or do they get a little weaker? We're coming up on sunset time. It'll be a little bit less windy, a little bit less warm once they move into Wilkes County, or sorry, Forsyth County a little bit later on. But let's go back to the tornado warning, still in effect. It runs for another 8 more minutes here. We've been tracking it near Dobson. Let's zoom right in. This is right over I-77 at the moment. This is the same storm. Pretty sure, we'll track it back. This should be the same storm that crossed Highway 421 near the Wilkesboro Speedway not that long ago. Let's going to track this back in time. We're going to go backwards. Yep, so this is the storm right there by the Speedway earlier, right there. Now it's moved up. It just passed to the north of Elkin. You can see how it's weakened. It's definitely weakened quite a bit. The rotation is not as strong as it once was. It does seem to me pretty likely that they will allow this warning to expire on its own coming up at 7:45. But this is a tornado warning for for Surrey County. Wilkes is going to be edited out of this. They're not in a threat anymore. But if you're in Dobson, hang tight, be in your safe spot. All of these storms, by the way, even if you're not seeing a tornado, we know thunderstorms. You can have trees down from wind, you can have lightning, power outage issues just from those threats alone, not to mention the blinding travel conditions. So that's what's going on. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for all of this in Surrey. That's also been extended a little bit over here into Stokes County, Yadkin County to the south as well. This is just a line. It's a line of storms that we have to track for you. The only tornado warning we have for you is right up there in Surrey County, and it is moving off to the north. It'll impact the Mount Airy area pretty shortly if it's allowed to continue, but it looks to me like they will probably cancel this warning fairly shortly. It is set to expire at 7:45. It does seem to me like it is weakening and not getting necessarily stronger. Do have some context in the Wilkes County area. That picture we just showed you off of 18 is the BP and the CVS right off North Wilkesboro. So that was from North Wilkesboro that we showed you earlier. New tornado warning. Just as we clear this one, we're going to be looking at another one. So let's get you the latest on this. This is a new box just issued. Remember a few seconds ago, a minute or two maybe, when we were giving you that pre-warning? That was right there along 421 in Yadkin County. Well, now it's a real warning. We have a new tornado warning. This is for Stokes, Surrey, Yadkin until 8:15. It is a radar indicated tornado, but this thing is spinning like a top right here along Highway 601, Highway 67 near the town of Nebo and Rockford. We do have some rotation going on in this storm. It's right about here. It's not the most obvious in the world compared to the other one we had, but it is still very strong, and it is something we want to watch pretty carefully. Earlier we saw that spinning motion and we told you that this was starting to rotate. This is now the new warning that we'll track for you, maybe for the next 30 minutes or so as it goes off to the north. If it were to hold together, who would it impact? Let me pause the radar and give you a lay of the land here. This would be headed toward Rockford, right along the Yadkin River. And then if it holds together, it would actually head up closer to Pilot Mountain, not too far from Pilot Mountain State Park, of course, and Interstate 74 off to the north too. We have intersecting tornado warnings now. I think that one will be canceled and this one will continue. So that's the new information we have for you. If you're in Yadkin, be in the safe spot. It looks to me like this storm is north of Yadkinville, but again, the north side, be very, very cautious. Again, a safe spot to protect yourself, protect your family, and make sure to take it seriously. It's going to be crossing into Surry County in just about 5 minutes or so. Earlier, we first came to you with a tornado warning for Wilkes. That is the one storm tonight that we've been able to already confirm some damage, which suggests to us it was a pretty bad storm. We're getting more pictures, more images from you. This is the same spot that was impacted earlier. Again, this is from a different viewer. Allison Bridges sent us this photo in Wilkes County, really North Wilkesboro. You see the North Wilkesboro police on scene there investigating this damage. What can we mention about this photo? It looks like, of course, this may be the run-in gas station, the BP right by the CVS there on Highway 18. Looks like partially that awning has been collapsed. Obviously the white object in the foreground, that's that canopy that does cover you when you're pumping gas, but even the building itself is really in big trouble as well. So a lot going on with that damage. Great pictures, great video. If you can safely do so, let our newsroom know about this. We can let more people know. When we give you the damage reports, it actually can convince other people to hide from the storm. We're trying to get people to keep themselves safe. We have two still tornado warnings going on, one for Surry, one for Yadkin, both of them intersecting as well. Eric, we just have so much going on right now. What are you noticing here as we've been continuing to track this line of storms pushing through the foothills and getting a little closer to the Triad too?
You know, I'm going out to a wider view because as I look at this, and we call this, when you look upstream, we call it in meteorological terms, but basically where it's coming from and is it strengthening or weakening. This is it's a massive line of storms. And so don't be surprised as you watch this throughout the night, if we don't see just these little individual cells triggering warnings, mostly based on just radar data that we're getting back from it. When we see enough spin that it triggers off a tornado warning. Again, but we have actually seen an observed tornado in the Rhonda area in Wilkes County. So don't be surprised if you don't see these little warnings just moving right along. Now, if I move the map a little bit, let's get this further over so we can see more of the viewing area. And we'll get into the metro area of the Triad. So you can see the entire line is really hauling along. In fact, the forward speed of this system has been anywhere in the individual cells, has been anywhere between 30 and 45 miles per hour, mostly developing to the northeast. So this is a line of storms. They develop to the south and they ride along that boundary of instability as the entire system pushes on to the east. What does that mean for you? That means if you're watching this and you're in the metro section, right, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, High Point, and all of this just continues to develop and move along, don't look at where these tornado warnings are so much as knowing the entire line is heading in your direction. Now, if I look to the south, it doesn't look quite as bad. And Tim mentioned this earlier, that once we get that, the sun setting, that takes a little bit of the instability away. But we have a lot of shear in the upper layers of the atmosphere. We just didn't know if there was going to be enough instability to trigger these storms, but indeed there was. And when we see that over the area, taking that heating away from the day does help a little bit. And we might see, let's say by 8:30 or 9 o'clock, we might see most of the tornado warnings expired, hopefully not redeveloping to the south. But it is something to watch. And if I'm in Winston-Salem right now, this is moving in your direction. If you look at this loop, you're looking at about a 2 to 3 hour loop, and then that means within an hour and a half roughly, it's going to be in Forsyth County, maybe toward Kernersville, and it may be an hour and a half to 2 hours over Guilford County, but it's moving along at a quick rate. So either way, if you're in the heart of the Triad, I would pay close attention to this. Even though this is the only, see, the other tornado warning expired, so the only one left here is this one that affects Stokes, Surry, and Yadkin, but as Tim mentioned, Yadkin and Surry really the areas to look out for. Let's go in real quick. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to check the speed on this, bear with me just a second as we kind of take a closer look at what's going on here. We'll go in tighter and stop that radar. I want to see what things are looking like right now. Yeah, okay, if you're in Mount Airy, even though we don't have a tornado warning exactly over you, but it's darn close, I would definitely take shelter. That is no joke right there. Center of circulation, maybe not, maybe a little muddled, but enough that that's going to cause a lot of damage. If nothing else, think about wind gusts in those systems. Sometimes whether there's a tornado or not, you get straight line winds, you might as well have a tornado. That damage can be just as bad. But I'm going to query this for a second. We'll take a look at some of the data inside this. How fast is this entire system moving? It looks like it's moving to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. So if we take that data and then basically look at the system. Now, I will say this, it's harder to find exactly where that spin was, but we're guessing right here north of Yadkinville, but you can see as it moves over to the Surrey County line, but it's all drifting to the north and east. And if we plot that for you, because I know a lot of folks are worried, especially in that between King and say Rural Hall and Mount Airy, that's the region that we're concerned with. So let's plot this and just see kind of where everything is going. And we'll do it like this. All right, so right there. So Copeland, a lot of people know where that is. That will be in about 10 to 12 minutes. Pine Hill at 8:05, Ararat at 8:12, and then it moves north to Long Hill by 8:17. Again, keeping fingers crossed that it doesn't hold together that long, but you still will see, regardless, you're going to see heavy storms. And I think if we look at the severe threat within this particular system, and we've talked about this recently, what do we really have to worry about with this? Overall, the hail damage is really low. Wind is the biggest issue. The threat of a tornado, as we have seen, is there, although it's low, but we've seen one confirmed. And then flooding can happen if the heavy rain moves across the area. I think overall, and we do have this tornado watch in effect over most of the viewing area, from Guilford County, Caswell County, and Davidson County west. That runs until 11 o'clock tonight. But again, Tim, we'll keep an eye on that. It's good to know that we only have the one tornado warning in effect right now, and that one will expire in a while, Tim.
We've talked a lot about, Eric, the current radar, where the storms are, where they're going. We need to have a light at the end of the tunnel, right? This is not going to last all night. When do you kind of see yourself being in the all clear? Well, this can help. We can use our Futurecast map to show you how we expect the storms to move along over the next couple of hours. Now, first things first, this is a live picture of our Futurecast. It is not correct at the moment. It has the idea of the storms, but 7:45, they're really right here. So knowing that, we're going to adjust the time with our brains on the fly, but it'll still give us a good idea of when they will clear your area if you are not already in the storm. So as it pushes along, let me back that up. It went too quickly here. This would be right about now. It's about an hour too slow. So when would it be in Winston-Salem? Well, about 8:30. 8:30 or so for Winston-Salem, about 8:30 for Stokes County, about 8:30 or a little bit sooner than that, 8:15 maybe in Davidson County. Guilford County, let's say for you it would be closer to 9 o'clock. So if you're watching from Winston, let's say that's 8:30 for you. Greensboro around 9, Reedsville around 9, Martinsville around 9, farther north, a little bit closer to you up in Patrick County and Stokes County, about 8:30 to 8:15 or so. That's a guide. We'll go back to the radar, the true data, not the computer data. This is the real stuff now that we actually have the storm radar for you. A lot of different info to digest. It's still all clear in the meantime for the Triad counties, but here we're under the gun for Surrey, Yadkin, Davie, Iredell, and also parts of Stokes. Let's go back to the tornado warning. Right here, it is indicated in still that southern part of Stokes. Looks to me like it's about to cross the Yadkin River. Let me dive in a little bit closer. We're going to get back down to it here. It's off to the east of Elkin, right near Rockford. So the storm here is passing right by Rockford. A little bit of rotation here. Certainly some very, very heavy rain just north of Boonville, just cross that Yadkin River line. There's Copeland. We're seeing it near Copeland, Highway 268. That's the next road up. That's the next marker here. If you're familiar with southern Stokes County, Highway 268, it tracks from 52 all the way over here, south of Dobson. It's going to be actually pretty close to Pilot Mountain without too much time. Long Hill is there, Pilot Mountain is there. You are all in the polygon for this storm, right in the red box. If you're in the red box, you want to be in that safe spot. Let's look at the rotation. Earlier, it was strong. Now, it's actually a little bit less strong, let's say. Don't want to say it's weak. It's stronger than we would like, but it is not as strong as it was before. That would be the spot. If there is a tornado in this storm, it's right there, right near Rockford. Moving up, probably on the west side of that cone, probably passing just to the north, just to the west of Pilot Mountain and Pilot Mountain State Park. Another view on this velocity. There's plenty of rotation. It's still there. It's not as strong as the one earlier in Wilkes, but that does not mean anything. You still want to be on the safe side in this storm system. I will tell you, Yadkin County, that storm is basically out of your county at the moment. It is moving off to the north. However, you still want to be on alert. Farther south we go, there's still plenty of action happening in Iredell County. You'll notice with this thunderstorm warning, what the National Weather Service has done, they've indicated it's not a tornado warning, but it's a little concerning. In fact, a tornado might be possible. It's just not quite as sure thing as when we have those warnings in place. I know it's all confusing. We're here to digest that for you, but there is some spinning right there near Highway 601. A couple of years ago, we had a tornado not too far from this area near Courtneyville, I believe. Elementary school was really damaged in a bad way. That's right about where this storm is too. We kind of always have a storm memory when it comes to this time of year. April is that storm month, and boy, oh boy, if we had plenty of storms over the years, just not too many in recent memory. So this is what we're tracking for you. If you're in Moxville, get ready to get a nasty thunderstorm coming your way, some nasty winds. Even those thunderstorms, folks, 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts, not too hard to do. Lots of heavy rain and lightning across Yadkin County as well. And as we said, we still do have an active tornado warning here for parts of Surry County. I'm going to leave this right here, and let's draw the rotation on so you can see it all at once. The rotation is right about here, just to the north of Rockford. I'm going to leave that on the screen and then check just a couple of reports here. As we show you that rotation, we're really watching Surry County at the moment. We do have power outages that are kind of climbing in number. A couple different sources we could use for this. Looks like Wilkes County has at least a couple thousand folks without power. Not seeing that necessarily for Yadkin yet, but Alexander County, just to the south of Wilkes, also had some power outages. There's about 20,000 without power in the state of North Carolina, which can often indicate some damage. Checking up with our National Weather Service partners, we're still watching and waiting for any confirmation of actual damage. There have been several trees down in earlier warnings in Wilkes County, not seeing anything current with this storm. So if we widen out the view, look for any storm reports. Earlier today, we did have a storm report near Moravian Falls, ton of downed trees right there near Moravian Falls. That was that same storm that probably damaged the gas station we showed you about over in Wilkes earlier, the one that went right by the Speedway as well. That is the storm that continues to kind of spin up there in Surry County. On the wider view, we've seen a new severe thunderstorm warning. Why is that? Well, there are storms that are headed toward Forsyth and also headed toward Davidson. So these storms here are headed to Forsyth, headed to Davidson. Those are extended. That's a severe thunderstorm warning now for parts of Forsyth County, really the western side of Winston-Salem. That warning for you goes until 8:15. So lots of stuff going on here. Let's actually take a live look at our Winston-Salem sky camera. I'm going to step out of the way so you can see that a little bit more clearly. Apologies. We have the clouds there, of course. Still clear, not raining at the moment, but pretty shortly we're going to be looking at that storm moving into Winston-Salem in Forsyth County. We'll go back to the tornado warning, of course, up here in Surry County. Myself, Eric Chilton, are with you throughout the evening here, continuing to track this threat of severe weather. We've had several different tornado warned storms, and this is just the latest one up here in Surry. And we're just going to stay with you until that threat goes away. And if any tornado warnings get dropped and we have no more, we will let you go back to regular programming for sure. But let's zoom in a little bit more closely, and then we'll toss it over to Eric in just a second. You see that really heavy rain. This is car wash style rain. It's coming down hard. It's coming down sideways at times because of the winds that you were likely to have in a storm like this. You see it from Mount Airy all the way down to Siloam. Pilot Mountain, you're going to be getting up on this next. Dobson, you're just about to be done. You're almost done with that nasty wind and the nasty rain, just not quite there yet. We do see still some signs of rotation, but perhaps not the strongest that we've seen throughout the day by any stretch. It is extremely windy though. What I'm showing you here, when we ask the radar, how fast is this moving? It's showing us how fast the air is moving at the level that the rain is. So in this case, it's several thousand feet up in the air. The question is, do those high winds make it down to the ground? That's the problem. That's the power that thunderstorms can do. They can take the high wind up in the air. You know, the air moves fast up there where airplanes fly and things like that. You can bring that high wind down to the surface, and that's what downs trees, downs power lines, and creates big problems. We can get tornadoes in this type of weather, but we can also get things called microbursts or downbursts. Straight line winds is what a lot of people call them, and this might be a situation where it might be more along the lines of straight line wind, but either way, very strong weather is moving through Surry County at the moment, or is possible. You want to be taking shelter for sure. Dobson, almost in the clear. Pilot Mountain, be in a safe spot. You still have a tornado warning for your area right now. Eric Chilton's been tracking this. Eric, you're from Surry County. You're seeing this moving through Mount Airy at the moment. What are you seeing? What are you noticing when we talk about this storm? Not unheard of, but not that common either to get a tornado warning up there.
Yeah, normally, in fact, I was literally texting with friends up that way, and they said conditions are really bad in Mount Airy right now. Not surprising, because if you look at even this particular area where the velocity kind of shows, and again, as Tim mentioned, the easiest way for you at home to kind of get a grip on this is to say, where is that green meeting the red? That's kind of the basics of it. Basically, it means winds are coming in one direction with the green, the opposite on the red, and where those meet, we see rotation. So a little bit of that rotation still in that system. That's moving northeast. So if I'm in Copeland along 268, maybe heading east over toward Pilot Mountain, but you're in the Pine Hill area, all of this region right here seeing some pretty heavy thunderstorms. And Tim's right, usually in the foothill communities, we don't see that quite as frequently as we might, especially in, say, the eastern parts of our viewing area. A lot of times when fronts come over the mountain, now this one necessarily didn't do that. These storms are developing south and moving northeast. But whenever an entire system comes over, sometimes we are spared in the Triad, most of us, because it's trying to reorganize as the front moves on to the east. And by the time it gets to, say, Alamance County and toward Raleigh, that's when it really starts to pick up a bit. But this is a different situation. So you think about our relatives and friends to the northwest, and in my case, Surry County, where I grew up, yeah, this is a strong storm moving there. White Plains, even though I know you look at this and you say, well, we're kind of on the west side of that polygon, you can't really say that that's the end of the threat. That is the mathematical suggested end, or the area that we're worried about. It's sort of like a hurricane track, right? There's a margin of error on either side of that track. Same situation with these polygons. It is kind of the mathematical guess as to where we think these systems will go. It is interesting when you look at this polygon that most of the area that we're concerned with is on the west side of that. So this is the National Weather Service saying we think it could be anywhere in that area. But if I'm in White Plains, I'd be on the watch out, because that's moving in your direction in a matter of minutes. It'll be crossing over I-74 and heading back north toward Westfield. And that's along 89, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, there it is. So Mount Airy, if we look at this, I'll move it over a smidge. Here's Mount Airy, 52 and 601 intersect right in the center of town. So if you're heading to the east here on 89 toward Westfield, I'd say in the next 30 minutes or so, we'll have to watch out for eastern parts of Surry County as it all moves to the north. Our hope, though, is that as that happens, and as we get later into the evening and taking away that heating, that it gets better and better. And if you look at a broad picture of this whole thing, because sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees, right? We're in so tight, you have to kind of see the bigger picture. And you can see, if we look at that, this is really the last super strong line that I'm seeing. Let's go way south towards Charlotte and over to Rockingham, North Carolina. Okay, so yeah, this is the line of concern. And again, when we talk about you look at this, do a little visual math, and you say to yourself, well, this is at 5 to 8 o'clock, so a 3-hour loop, and it moved a good distance in those last 2 hours. This should be clearing our region in the next hour and a half, maybe, as it moves by. Good and bad news, right? We want it out as soon as possible. The bad news is when these systems move with that forward speed to the east and north like that, within that system, it doesn't take a whole lot to cause a little spin and maybe get those triggers for or tornado warnings. I can say, as we go back to live radar briefly, that when this is the last tornado warning, which has about 15 minutes left on it, and it's only in Surry County. The good news is all these thunderstorm warnings that we're seeing around, they're starting to expire too. National Weather Service is saying, hey, I think we're going to be okay with that. Let's let that go. So this thunderstorm warning that covers Patrick, Stokes, Surry, and Yadkin, and really more of Surry than anything else, that runs until 8:30 and then 8:15 for the tornado warning. And if you notice, the polygon is a lot smaller, the area of concern. And they change the shape of those polygons frequently as they take new data. Every time you see that radar sweep go by, we're ingesting data and then putting it out visually for you to see here. I know that even to the south, and I'll check in with Tim here in a second, it looks to me, Tim, a lot better than it did. It's still a serious storm with lightning and, as you mentioned, possible straight line winds. That can do a lot of damage, but it is not looking quite as compact and organized as it did, say, an hour ago.
Yeah, it's true, Eric. We're still watching this really carefully. It's not the same. It's always changing minute by minute. A couple of things I'll notice on the wide view, and then we'll dive into the details. If we look on the wide view, this is the line. Okay, and once it passes, you're not going to have any more severe weather, right? So all of these areas in western North Carolina, they are clear in my mind from severe weather. Charlotte is too. So what we're going to follow over the next 2 hours between 8 and 10 o'clock, we're going to follow these storms pushing into the Triad and then leaving us alone. So Charlotte's clear, Wilkes County is clear now. We're going to watch every one of these storms if they continue to produce tornado warnings, right? So this is what we want to be on the lookout for. Now, let's dive into those details. As we said, a couple different things to mention. We still have an active tornado warning up in Surry County. Only Surry County. That is the only county right now with a warning because they've trimmed out the other ones. It moved out of Yadkin and it moved, really actually is still part of Stokes, I guess, but it's not much for them. It's really mostly just for Surry. In fact, they trimmed Stokes out of it. So as you come in a little bit closer, just to the west of Pilot Mountain, you still have some rotation going on with that storm. There's still possible wind damage. The weather is certainly rough. Eric confirmed that texting with folks up there. If this holds together, it's headed up toward Westfield after that. There is still rotation in other parts of this strong line. As we go down south into Yadkin County, or we're looking down here toward Louisville, we're looking here near Mocksville. There's a little rotation going on north of Mocksville. We're just watching this as well. Not enough to produce a warning perhaps, but it's enough to be a little concerned. If you live in Louisville, we're talking Forsyth County now. If we're looking in Louisville, Clemens, if you're in the path of that, you want to be in a safe spot. I would be. I'll put it that way. If that thing gets a little bit stronger, we could have a new tornado warning. This is in Davie County. That's Forsyth. We're watching it, okay? I'm just telling you, there's a little bit of rotation in that part of the storm in Davie County. In fact, National Weather Service indicates that a tornado could be possible in that case. It's just not a confidence thing right now. Forsyth County, you got a severe thunderstorm warning until about 8:30. Yadkin does too. We still have the tornado warning to the north. We're keeping an eye on our eyes and ears throughout the area with our different News 2 weather cameras. This is that view of Winston-Salem at the moment. Of course, we have the dark clouds coming in. We're going to be watching this periodically because off to the west, we're likely going to start to see that nasty weather moving in from the west. That's to the west. That'll be how it moves in across the city. I certainly hope the Dash have taken appropriate action here. They've been playing the Hoppers tonight, and that warning has been issued. So hopefully all is well over there, but not the kind of weather you want to get caught out in at a ball game, to be sure. Greensboro, everything's still calm and quiet at the moment. The winds have been a little gusty today, but again, no problems yet. We're still watching over the next little bit as more of this is pushing our way. So there's a line of showers and storms. If you're watching from Rockingham, Guilford, Randolph, you say, well, what about us? This is tracking your way too. It's just going to take some time. It's not going to be until about 9 o'clock that we're able to clear more folks from this system. If we make a quick storm track here, what are some times for you? Winston-Salem, about half an hour. Greensboro, about 9:30. Burlington, about 10 o'clock. And then beyond that, it's out of our area. We are getting more pictures, images, reports of storm damage. This is another issue here. I don't have a specific location for this, but Gabby sent this to us from Wilkes County. It certainly appears that Wilkes County so far has been the hardest hit in our area. Obviously, you look at that tree and you notice a couple things. Not all trees down are created equal. In this case, when you have a tree totally uprooted, it looks to be a sturdy tree, healthy, mature tree, those are really tricky to take down. And it takes a really strong wind gust to do it. That's what we saw in Gabby's backyard there. Certainly hate to see that for sure, but definitely a big deal. We're also getting reports possibly of a lot of issues in Surry County. There could be some reports of some debris up in Surry County as well. We're going to zoom in up there one more time. Of course, we still have an active tornado warning for Surry, so I want to go back up there. We're going to use a couple different tools at our disposal in Surry County. If we look at the live here, this is right there near Pilot Mountain. Let's hit pause. And that's where the storm is about to move out of the polygon. So we're getting some rotation still on the storm system. Let's look and see if any debris has been reported. It doesn't seem obvious right now. In fact, I would say probably not. We'll continue to keep an eye on it for you, but that storm is still moving. The tornado warning does continue. You can see it on our satellite loop. That's Pilot Mountain right there. That's the knob. This is the highway. So right now it's crossing 268 right near the different gas stations, fast food restaurants right off the highway on 52. That's where it's moving. It's pushing up toward Westfield. It's going across just to the south, just to the east of Mount Airy. You should be seeing improving weather in Mount Airy over the next 20 minutes. But in the meantime, be in your safe spot in Pilot Mountain, and Westfield, you should too. We only have about 9 more minutes of this warning. We'll continue to keep an eye on it for you. Farther south we go into Yadkin County, really a wall of water, torrential rain pushing through the eastern side of the county. But Yadkinville, you're in the clear here. You're good to go at this point, as is Iredell County. Down here in Davie County, still have severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible in this area as well. Not a warning, but it's possible. So we're keeping an eye on that too. Just all of these storms are rotating. That's kind of what we're noticing tonight, is that all of these different storms are all spinning, and there's good reason for that. The wind at one level of the atmosphere is going like this. The wind at the other level is going like that. That's a twisting motion. Just like when you're a kid, you might play with a toy top and spin it on the table. Your fingers are moving in different directions. The air works the same way. So if you're crisscrossing the winds, you can create some spinning motion. A thunderstorm spins, and you can bring those funnel clouds down to the ground. So that's what we want to avoid going forward. Farther to the south, our friends and neighbors in Montgomery County, Davidson, Randolph. We're going to watch these storms. They're coming your way as well. No active tornado warnings right now, but it's a busy night. We'll continue to watch it. This warning has about 8 more minutes in Surry County, and then it's moving off into Stokes. All of these have severe thunderstorms on them at the moment. Let's take a look at our wind gusts. Haven't checked that out. Our live wind gusts over the last little bit here in our area. Right now, pretty manageable, honestly. Wind gusts are only at about 25 miles per hour. Not that bad considering where we've been recently. However, we do expect the winds to stay pretty gusty, especially with the line of storms for tonight and into tomorrow. It's going to be a windy day of weather as well. And by the way, the timing on this here, once we get toward 9 and 10 o'clock, we would expect to be able to issue an all clear for pretty much our whole News 2 viewing area. I know the tornado watch goes until 11. I do not expect to still be here talking about tornado warnings at 11 o'clock. We will be seeing them out of our area at that point. But in the meantime, still tracking that tornado warning up in Surry County. Eric Chilton, you've been tracking this too. What you got?
So looking at this just briefly, this does look better. I mean, Tim and I have talked about, we're not seeing as much of in the velocity look that is quite as organized as it was. And it is getting ready to move out of this polygon. I don't think, fingers crossed, that they would extend that polygon to the north, but we'll keep an eye on that. Just to let you know too, so different subject here, but people have been calling us asking about Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. They will air overnight. Wheel will start at 2:22 a.m. if you want to set your recordings there, and Jeopardy will follow immediately after. Just a programming note in case you're wondering. So that is moving to the north, that entire system. Let's go out to a little bit wider shot. Tim, I noticed that also to the north here, this particular thunderstorm warning, let's go back to our live radar real quick. The thunderstorm warning, not the tornado warning, but the thunderstorm warning with this storm has now extended north. And so that will cover Carroll, this is our southern Virginia counties, Carroll, Floyd, and Patrick, and then parts of it in Surry County still. That goes until 9 o'clock. Again, that doesn't mean we'll see tornado type weather that long. I don't think we will, but you will see severe thunderstorms well into the night, probably 10 o'clock or so, if not a little bit later. But again, this is the last of the tornado warnings, which we have about 5 minutes left on. And I know watching this over the years, Tim, and I've been doing this for almost 3 decades in the Triad, this is this line now looks like every time that beam goes by and we see that shift, it is looking less and less organized, but there's still so much lightning within this system. And Winston-Salem, by the way, let's go in tight there because we haven't been talking a lot about Forsyth County, and it is just now moving into your backyard. So Louisville and Clemens, so you're looking right along 421 there. That's a lot of rain and wind coming your way, and lightning with it as well. Some of the wind speeds within these systems, we're seeing stronger gusts. I'm sure they're going up to 60 miles per hour or so wherever you see the heaviest thunderstorms. This is right along the Louisville-Clemens area, and if you look at it and put it in motion, you see that general motion is to the, I'd say, east-northeast. So Winston-Salem and Bethania, if you head up toward 52, heading out of Winston-Salem, so by University Parkway, and as you're getting out of town there, you're going to see the effects of that in minutes. And it's also moving toward King, too, and the Rural Hall area if you're looking at Stokes County. So those areas will still see heavy showers and thunderstorms. You notice, and let me go back to that real quick, you notice it says in the severe thunderstorm warning, it says tornado possible. It just means that we have seen that type of weather in this system earlier in the evening, and as that moves across your neck of the woods, just be careful of that. Again, looking better and better, and as a matter of fact, yeah, we only have 3.5 more minutes on this particular warning, and it is looking better. That one cell south of Lexington between, well, just approaching the Tyro area, that one looks a little strong too. Let's stop the radar for right now, and I want to do one thing before we go back to Tim. Let's look at that real quick, Tim, just to see if that looks like anything. Oh, it does look a lot better than it did before. Yeah, Tim, I think I'd be surprised if we have another tornado warning, but we'll be here just in case.
Yeah, we're going to be here just in case. That's right, Eric. Always behind the scenes, even if we're not here with you. This warning probably going to be allowed to expire in just a minute or two. It's 8:12 now. That one runs to 8:15. I just did a couple things. I checked up with our National Weather Service partners. Some ham radio folks up in Surry County are indicating they're right there where the storm is. They aren't necessarily seeing any big damage or any big problems. That's what we like to see. That's good news. And also was checking up on the power outage maps across the area. Aside from Wilkes County, it doesn't appear that there are significant power outages in any of these counties. Maybe a couple here or there, but not significant that would indicate or scream for big damage. So that's hopefully good news. We'll continue to watch it for you. In the meantime, as this reset, once that tornado warning goes away, we have a line of severe thunderstorms going through Stokes, Forsyth, Davidson. As we kind of go up and down the line here, we can show you what we're dealing with. Really, really heavy rain. It's going to be a wall of water moving your way into Forsyth County. Not looking at horrible rotation at the moment. There's no tornado warning with this. I would feel pretty good about there not being a tornado in this storm, and doesn't have that appearance to me on the radar, but it does show gusty winds, heavy rain, also some lightning. At last check, they were still playing baseball in downtown Winston-Salem. Not the best idea. I want folks to be safe for sure and under some shelter. Hopefully that is the case quickly, because in downtown Winston, that storm is on the move and it will be over you pretty shortly. Farther south, let's take a checkup of our folks in Davie County and Davidson County. Moxville still dealing with some heavy rain. Lexington, storms kind of splitting around you. We've got to keep an eye on this one to the south here near Rockwell and Meisenheimer. Let's take a look. Not much rotation right now, so we're just going to keep an eye on it, and we'll be back with you if we need to. Farther south we go, there are more storms popping up down by Montgomery County. So still, this line is pushing along. We are not done with it in Forsyth, Guilford, Randolph, Davidson, Montgomery, Rockingham, Stokes. Not all clear. Farther off to the west, Wilkes, you're in the clear. You have some damage, but you're in the clear. Yadkin almost that way, Surry almost that way, and Davie almost that way, almost. We'll go back to this warning here. Just have about a minute or two left on it. I'm going to check in with our weather service to see if any more storm reports have come in. And obviously, if you have anything in your neighborhoods to report, let us know. We can relay it to everybody else too. But it does appear like this warning is going to be allowed to expire. Getting some more information though about Wilkes County, our friends and neighbors out there, at least 2 roofs were taken off of different structures. Lots of trees were blown down near Club Creek Church Road. That's in Wilkes County. The National Weather Service is likely going to go out there and investigate and see what they find on the ground out there to kind of rate that tornado tornado. Remember, it was an observed tornado in Wilkes County earlier, not that far from the Speedway, and they'll be out there to look at that tomorrow, the damage. Closer view of Forsyth County right now. Winston-Salem downtown, it's coming for you. We're seeing it right near Vienna, Louisville, very, very heavy rain. Bethania too, Tobaccoville as well. Very heavy rain approaching Highway 52 and approaching downtown very shortly. Some gusty winds as high as 60 miles per hour are possible. Farther north we go. No tornado warnings are active in our area, so they have been allowed to expire. None are active currently. The south side of this line is a little bit weaker than the north side, so fingers crossed, hopefully we can get this through the area without any more active tornado warnings. But if there are any more that come to you, or come to us, we're going to be back with you and let you know about that for sure. In the meantime, have a severe weather plan for you and your family. Make sure you know where to go to be in a safe spot at your home. I realize we interrupted a lot of programming here, just doing it to keep you safe. We will be re-airing Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. We'll follow that tonight. That's coming up at 2:22. Just as I was about to let you go though, I have to tell you there's another tornado warning that we're just looking at. That red box on the top side of your screen would indicate a new tornado warning for our area. And this is for the next 30 minutes, isn't it? Right there near Pilot Mountain, headed up toward Danbury. This goes until 8:45. It is for Stokes County. Stokes County is the new tornado warning. Just as we were watching this line push by, a new one has popped up. This is that same storm, it would appear, that was moving through parts of Pilot Mountain. Let's take a live look here. A new tornado warning issued right near Westfield, right near parts of Surrey County, Stokes County. I'll be honest with you, not seeing a ton of rotation, but there is some either way right about here near Brown Mountain, near Highway 268. I'm going to click off the radar just so I get my bearings straight up here. So as you can see, that's Hanging Rock. That's Moore's Wall and Hanging Rock. That's Saratown Mountain. So we're just looking on the north side of those mountains as well. A little bit of rotation here is prompting a new tornado warning. The storm is pushing up toward Highway 8. Let's get the latest storm motion here for you. Looks like this one is going along at about 45 miles per hour. So it's moving at a very good clip. If you live in Stokes County in that red box, make sure to be in your safe spot. It does include Danbury. It doesn't include Walnut Cove or anywhere south, but it does include Danbury. This storm is pushing along at a very fast clip, 45 highway speeds up there for Stokes County, and it'll be moving over toward Highway 8 very, very shortly. So that's the new tornado warning we have for you until 8:45. Farther south, torrential rain continues and is really a nasty situation in Forsyth County. Farther south than that, it's a lot calmer in Davidson and Davie. Still nothing going on in Guilford or in Randolph. I understand it can be frustrating if you live in those areas, but we want to treat everybody equally. Certainly, if this is happening in your backyard, you want us to do the same for sure. This storm is pushing through Stokes County with a tornado warning. When will it all be over? That's the question everyone seems to want to ask. When can we be in the all clear? Well, a lot of counties already are. Surrey County, good news for you, as this line is pushing out of your area, you're clear. You're good to go at this point without any threat of severe weather for the rest of the night. Let's look at our current wind gust across the region, and then I'm going to go pop up the Futurecast to show you what we're seeing. Winds right now are pretty manageable at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Actually, Raleigh at the moment has the highest wind gust at about 40. The thing of it is, though, those storms, when they push by, they can enhance and boost the wind gust a little bit more. So it's possible you could still see some 40, 50, 60 mile per hour gusts inside the thunderstorms. Now, Futurecast, it has been playing catch up here with these a little bit. This is 8:15. It looks like it has a pretty solid idea right now, maybe just a little bit slow. Let's put this into motion and show you where the storms are likely to go and when they're likely to be gone. As we move through the area, this would be about 8:45. It's likely to be pushing into parts of Guilford County and Davidson and Rockingham. Once we get closer to around 9:30, it should be out of Guilford and moving over into Alamance and probably weakening as it does so. All of us should be clear by around 10 o'clock, I would expect, for our area. So we've had a lot going on, different warnings popping up from place to place. We had damage earlier in Wilkes County. Right now, the only tornado warning we have is for Stokes County. Otherwise, we have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, and I'm going to pop back up our Winston-Salem camera and step out of the way just so you can kind of see what's going on here. This storm is starting to push in. So actually, in the control room, we could take this full so you get my little computer out of there if you want to. But we're looking at this together. That's in Winston-Salem. A lot of heavy rain, of course, starting to move into the area. There is a severe thunderstorm warning for Winston-Salem. In fact, I'm texting with a friend right now in that area. They actually were just at the Winston-Salem Dash game. It was pouring as they're leaving the game on the highway. They say this is definitely an intense storm at the moment, and that the game was still being played when they left. So hopefully they're stopping it pretty shortly. This is a severe thunderstorm moving through Winston-Salem. Our Eric Chilton has been watching this along with me. Eric, I'm not seeing any really significant damage to report with any of these new warnings, mostly just high winds, heavy rain, kind of blinding. You wouldn't want to be on the roads in this system, but it does seem like they're not getting stronger. They're more or less just maintaining their intensity at this point. And we may not have Eric here. We'll get him when we can. It's totally fine. Yeah, okay.
Are we good? There we go. Yeah, I would say too, Tim, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this, but when I was looking at velocity readings within that particular cell, I was a little shocked that they issued this, and I think it is just kind of based on how the system has behaved previously. Maybe that this is kind of an iffy storm. Could that create a tornado? Possibility. I'm not sure that I would have put the warning out, but they're doing that, so we pass it on to you. It's official. And this basically just means that the rate of the rotation they're seeing inside that, is such that maybe something could develop. Again, in my opinion, it has looked better, but we'll keep an eye on this, and the entire system looks good. Tim mentioned the Winston-Salem Dash playing the hoppers too. I had reached out, ironically, he brought that up, and I had reached out to a friend of mine connected with the Dash, and I was like, probably a good idea to get everybody where they need to be. And not necessarily that we're seeing a tornado type situation in Winston-Salem, but this entire storm is pretty strong, right? When we look at the radar readings around the area, let's go to that. There it is. That's a lot of rain and wind and lightning in that system, and we see individual, I don't know if you can see that or not, but there are little icons here that pop up, actual lightning strikes. When we detect that with our lightning detection system, it puts it up graphically. So we do see a lot of lightning strikes, and that's moving right into the downtown area of Winston-Salem. In fact, if you head out from Winston-Salem on Highway 52, that's going to be a rough ride if you have to head north through Stokes County and toward Mount Airy. As Tim has mentioned, though, points to the west of, say, Forsyth County, you're in good shape now. Most of this has moved out of that area. I'll put this in motion so we can kind of get another idea of what's happening. And that is, yeah, they're all, the whole line is moving at a pretty good clip, but Wilkesboro's out of it, Surrey pretty much out of it. Just the eastern edge of Surrey County, still a little bit of heavier thunderstorms. That's the area that we're concerned with, seeing a little bit of rotation in there. And when I looked at the velocity, speaking of rotation, again, as I mentioned, didn't look all that impressive, but there's enough in there that we have to keep you informed. Yeah, it's not quite as bad as it was. It has moved on to the east of the Brown Mountain area. That's where that's kind of heading out. And just right along Highway 66 there, we'll watch that. But overall, I think we're in pretty good shape. If you're east of Westfield and heading over, let's go a little bit further, over toward Danbury. A lot of people know where Danbury is and headed up there to do some outdoor recreation in the summer. That's Highway 8 right there. Be on the lookout, but I think more than anything it's just going to be strong winds. And when we get these straight line winds, they can do a serious amount of damage. You're looking at, in some cases, almost tornado strength winds, if not maybe lower end tornado winds. That can happen with straight line wind damage. So that's across the area. We have seen, I was looking at Duke Energy's power outage map. There have been several thousand in the Wilkes County area. And it's interesting because they haven't confirmed that, or they won't say that it was a confirmed tornado. The National Weather Service said we did observe it in the Rhonda area, so guaranteed that's what caused a lot of those outages, but also wind damage could have done that as well. Back out to a broad picture here. There we go. And again, with this particular line moving very fast and getting ready to, well, the good news is when you look to the south along the line, it's sporadic, right? We're seeing that Salisbury, that neck of the woods down to Charlotte, all that's moving along. Here's Rockingham and Montgomery County. You're next in Montgomery County. You're going to get some heavier showers and thunderstorms too, but you see how broken it is here, and that just means that it's not quite as organized and we don't see as much coming. And it is moving, in my opinion, more east-northeast than just northeast, which is what they were saying earlier in the evening, looking at these individual cells. And that's a pretty strong system moving into Forsyth County right now, right at the King area too. That's a lot of thunderstorm activity moving to Danbury, and goodness, it's moving fast. Also, if you're in Summerfield, I'm going to say Greensboro as well, but Kernersville, you've got this in about 5 minutes. It'll be on the top of you, if not sooner. And then Greensboro all the way up through Summerfield and Eden and Reedsville. This will probably be in your backyard in the next 45 minutes or so. We're hoping that by 9:15, 9:30, the latest would be 10. I think most of this will move to the east, and then we'll see, Tim, if they actually cancel or maybe reduce the area for that particular tornado watch that we've seen across the area and those thunderstorm warnings.
Yeah, for sure, Eric. We're watching this whole line all at once. And as you were saying, as soon as some parts start to weaken, others start to intensify a little bit. Those storms farther to the south, I don't really like the look of them. They're kind of spinning a little bit more also. But let's kind of do a little investigation here, because it seems like we might have a pretty big update for you in Forsyth County, but also up to the north in Stokes. Right now, I am not showing on my system that tornado warning anymore. So it does seem to me like they have allowed that one to actually expire or be canceled. That's good news. So that warning for Stokes County has been dropped. That's the good news we have for you right now. Let's do a quick reset, and then we might take a break here on our side until any other warnings may be issued. Don't want to jinx it. Last time we did that, there was a tornado warning that was issued. So at the moment, areas west of Winston-Salem are all clear. Surrey County, Yadkin County, Davie, Wilkes, you are all clear from those nasty thunderstorms. In Stokes County, you still have a severe thunderstorm warning. Those things are moving through. Gusty winds goes up to Patrick County as well in Virginia. Same thing for Martinsville. That storm is headed over to Rockingham County. It'll be headed towards Stoneville, Eden, and the like very shortly. In Forsyth County and Winston-Salem, we're also looking at some nasty weather moving on by. I was just hearing from a couple folks on my Facebook page in Louisville and parts of Pofftown saying this is really intense. Very heavy rain coming down with gusty winds as well. That's the situation in Forsyth. It's moving off to the east into Greensboro coming up next. Now, right now, we can give you that live look and perspective, just showing you kind of that blinding rainfall. Cars going really slowly in Winston-Salem. Visibility is okay, but it's not the best, certainly as that storm pushes on by. In Greensboro, still just watching and waiting. You would expect that storm to be in your backyard in about 20 minutes or so. We're going to reset though one more time. We'll show you one more look at the radar in our southern counties, and then going to return you to regular programming. We're in Davidson County here. I'm going to turn off the labels because they are too busy. So we're just to the south of Lexington. This storm is there. We'll watch it for any rotation. There's another storm just north of Lexington with some rotation as well. As we switch to the Raleigh radar, you can see there's some rotation going on right here by Denton. Severe thunderstorm warning for you. Down in Stanley County, that could be coming up toward Baden Lake. There's some rotation there as well. In Troy and Montgomery County, a little storm to the south of you too. Last thing I'll look at before we let you go is this piece of info. It shows our rotation on these storms. Nothing overly impressive, which means all is well. We do have thunderstorms pushing in to the rest of our Triad area. You're going to be seeing them pretty shortly. Hang tight. We'll let you know when it's all clear. As of right now, no active tornado warnings, but we do have those severe thunderstorms pushing on by. We will let you know. Wheel of Fortune. I know we covered it up. We're going to be airing it for you again. You can set your DVRs to catch tonight's episode of Wheel of Fortune at 2:22. I believe that's correct. My producer Tom will indicate 2:22 a.m. is when that'll air. Jeopardy will be right afterwards, so about 2:52. Again, we're still tracking the severe weather. You can keep up with us on social media. Be safe. We'll see you later.